In 1968, Procter & Gamble released their version of the potato chip, with the aim of addressing the issue of broken potato chips that are often found in the bottom of traditional potato chip bags. The result, Pringles, has gone on to become one of the most popular snacks in the world, with more than 100 flavors available worldwide, including limited edition and country-exclusive flavors. We're not going to be trying 100 different Pringles today, but we're going to be doing a classic gladiator showdown of sorts. Here we have two flavors of Pringles. We have sour cream and onion and the original. And they're going to be competing against Pringles. Sour cream, no, I'm just kidding, they're called Super Stack. We have original and sour cream and onion. I got these at Dollar Tree. These are a Dollar Tree brand. And they have one more flavor, I think it was a lime and chili, which comes in a purple can. But the only other flavor they had for Pringles there was barbecue. And I didn't really think they were kind of similar enough to compare. So I went ahead with the flavors that I could compare. So I went ahead and got original Pringles and original Super Stack. And I did the same for the sour cream and onion. When I was checking out, the cashier asked me if I was doing a taste test, because I guess you noticed I got one of each brand, and so the Gladiator's cover almost got blown there. Both of these cans are the same size. They're both 5.2 ounces or 148 grams. So same size cans, design-wise very similar. The top, obviously this has the Pringles logo, which by the way, his name is Julius Pringles, that's his official name. And I was reading up a little bit about this on the Wikipedia, and apparently he was only known as Mr. P until just a few years ago, when someone jokingly put on Wikipedia that his name was Julius Pringles. So I think it was sort of like a joke that someone had put, but it became so widely circulated online, that bit of misinformation, that eventually Procter & Gamble made it the official name of the mascot. So Julius Pringles, there you go. His design has changed a little bit over the years, but you know, more or less the same familiar image. This Super Stack does not have a mascot. Not a fan of that. I think they should do a little design-wise. They should have a man with a beard and no mustache. So okay, they would probably get sued if they did that. But anyway. As far as the nutrition facts go, they're surprisingly similar, actually. So the same amount of calories, ingredients for the most part, relatively similar. This uses, I think the oil, this is a mix of cottonseed sunflower oil for the Pringles, and this is just as palm and or sunflower oil and or corn and or canola. So yeah, they just pretty much go, it's all the same thing. And calories 150 each. Now the only distinction here is that the Super Stack are significantly higher in saturated fat. So the Pringles are 2.5 grams, whereas the Super Stack, that's what they're called, yeah. Super Stack is 4.5 grams, so it's 23% of your daily intake versus 13%. I'm not quite sure why that is. Maybe there is a difference in the amount or the ratio of oils that they're using, but just know that that's probably the only significant difference here. Everything else that I can see is pretty much the same. Sodium, where is the sodium? Yeah, pretty much the same. 6% here, 7% for the Pringles. So none of this stuff is good for you, but they're in the ballpark similar. So anyway, let's go ahead and get this classic gladiator style video started. So I'm gonna go ahead and start with the originals, and then we'll jump into the sour cream and onion, and let's see who wins. Now you might be asking, but Gladiator, isn't the snack aisle big enough for multiple brands of chips? And you might be right. But here in Snack Gladiator, in the Gladiator Coliseum, there can be only one. All right, we're gonna pop open the can of Pringles. Here we go. Both have the same, exact same design. You got the little clear plastic cap right there. Let's put all that aside. And we're gonna break the seal so you can see this is a mint in package. And it says bursting with flavor. So I'm expecting, like I've never had Pringles before, but yeah. Oh, did you hear that? That's the sound of just flavors exploding out of the can. Smells pretty good. I think most of us know what Pringles smell like. It's got that kind of a rich, potatoey, starchy smell to it. Not much else to it there. I'm gonna go ahead and just put a couple on a plate and show you more closely in case you've never seen Pringles before. Maybe they're not as popular where you're from, who knows? But yeah, overall, this is what they look like. They have this nice little shape. I forgot, I read what the shape is called. There's a specific geometric term for it, but so go ahead and just show you here. They're fairly thin. Again, this is it's called an extruded snack product. So basically they make a sort of like a mash with the potatoes, and then they extrude that mash into these molds. So that's how you get this shape. They don't actually cut the potatoes like that because that sounds very inefficient. I'm gonna go ahead and put the super stack on the other plate, and then we can do a side-by-side juxtaposition, if you will. All right, same thing here. Clear cap. The caps, this one's a little more opaque, if you will. The Pringles can is more translucent, probably because they have the little mascot on the seal, so you can see more clearly through it. This one, it's just a blank top. So come on, Super Stack, you can do more than that. But then again, there's a notable price difference here. Each canister of Super Stacks was $1.25 at Dollar Tree, and the Pringles were $2.25, so almost twice as much. So, you know, they gotta save the cost somewhere, I guess. Let's go ahead and open these up here. Okay. Oh, this is interesting. So, they don't come quite as neat in the can. They sort of just go all over the place. So you can see there. The Pringles, I don't think I've ever seen this before from Pringles. Almost always they come neatly stacked inside the canister, even if you jostle them around. These have definitely shifted quite a bit. Let's go ahead and put a couple on a plate here and just see how things are looking. Yeah, okay. We got one, we got two, and there is actually a pretty distinct visual difference. So I'm just gonna hold each one up to the camera here. Pringles right here, Super Stack right here. You might not, color-wise, they're almost identical. Same amount of translucency. I'm holding them up to a window for scientific purposes. But the shape is quite different. The Pringles are, if you're looking at it from the top, Pringles are more oval. The Super Stack are more square. And that would probably explain why they shifted around in the can more, the Super Stacks did. That's because the chip itself is smaller than the Pringles. So you can see right there, which I think because the canisters are the same size, it allows the chips to kind of fall around or move around a little bit more than the Pringles would. Let me give the Super Stack I actually don't really like that name for the chips, I'll be honest. Super Stack. I think they used to be called Stacks, and then they changed the store brand name to Super Stack. I don't know. It doesn't. It's not as catchy, but whatever. Let me go ahead and smell them. There's a slight difference there. I'm not sure what it is. I think it's like a more muted potato smell. The base of the smell is the same, but I think Pringles, as soon as you open the can, you get hit with that potato smell. It's a little bit more subdued. I'm not getting much else. The Pringles, I guess if I could describe it, it's like a mix of potato and like oil. This, I'm just getting maybe straight potato. Not much else to it. All right, let's go ahead and I'm gonna start with the Pringles first. Gonna, savor that for a little bit, and then we'll go in with the Super Stack, and I'll try a couple before we jump into the sour cream and onion, and let's see if there's a clear winner here, or if it's too soon to tell. Let's start with the Pringles. Sorry, I had to cut so I could burp. All right, let's start with the Pringles. Yeah. Just your classic run-of-the-mill Pringle taste. Not too salty, just that light, potatoey, kind of almost starchy, almost buttery kind of flavor to it. Again, it's you're very run-of-the-mill type of Pringle there. Nothing too strong, pretty balanced, very easy snacking. Yeah, you could easily finish off, whatever, 20, 30 of those. Now let's go ahead and try the Super Stack and see if it stacks up to the Pringles. That's interesting. It's, wow. It's so odd because I feel like the base flavor is the same, but there is a difference in texture. There's a difference in the texture and the taste. The Super Stack is definitely more, I want to say it's almost more mealy actually. I'm not sure if I like that quite as much, that texture. It has a more, there's more crunch to it, but as you break it down in your mouth, it becomes a little mealy. I don't know how else to describe it. Like when you're biting into an apple that's maybe a little bit past its prime. I'm gonna go ahead and take one more. I already have them in the plates. I'm gonna go ahead and take one more bite of the Pringles. Getting a text message right there. Okay. Just a scam. Someone's trying to sell me a junk car. Yeah, the Pringles definitely feel lighter in the mouth. And then it doesn't leave, they kind of just break apart in your mouth more easily as you're chewing it. It hits you with that just kind of a subtle wave of potato flavor and salt, and then that's it. It just has a little bit of an aftertaste. The Super Stack, on the other hand, let's try one more and see if I can pinpoint exactly where it differs from the Pringles. It's definitely a more firm chip. It's almost more like a traditional cracker, if you will. Even though the sodium content is so minute between the two, the Pringles definitely taste saltier. Whereas I think the Super Stack has a slightly stronger potato taste, but I don't know that I'm crazy about that kind of, mealy, grainy texture that that it breaks down into while you're towards the very end of each bite. Not crazy about that right now. So right now I'm gonna have to give the lead to Pringles, but let's see if sour cream and onion changes things up a little bit. All right, time for some sour cream and onion. Same thing here. Gonna pop it open. Again, nutrition wise, pretty much the same for both. Again, the Super Stack consistently higher on the saturated fat in both. Wonder why that is. Again, must be the oils they're using and such. So I'm gonna go ahead and open them. So far I'd have to say the Pringles are leading primarily. I do like the taste, the balance between the potato taste and the salt more in the Pringles, but the biggest factor here, I think, is the texture. There's something about the Super Stack texture that, I don't want to say stale, but because they're not, but there's, again, just the way that they break down as you're chewing it. Maybe it's because I'm so accustomed to Pringles that I'm not quite thrilled with that mouthfeel. So let's go ahead and put the sour cream and onion. Full disclosure, I'm not the biggest sour cream and onion fan. I'll eat them fine, they're okay. But, if I'm given options for potato chips, I'll rarely seek out sour cream and onion. again, it's not that I dislike them. I like the onion. I like onions fine. I like sour cream fine. But in a chip, it's just not my favorite combination. So I'm gonna go ahead and open. Oh, they put some extra glue on the super stack here. Wow. There we go. Okay. So these are actually stacked up this time around. You can see. So there's no jostling around here. Again, it is a slightly smaller chip compared to the Pringles. Let me get a more intact one. The top one there's a little bit damaged. I thought the whole point of these chips was to avoid damage, but anyway, this one's still a little bit damaged. But so we've got the super stack here. Again, a more square type of chip, and it is kind of hard to tell, but it is a little bit smaller. The Pringle back here, super stack in the front, so it is smaller. Now, one thing that's interesting here is that the sour cream and onion Pringle looks almost identical to a regular original Pringle. So just if you were just looking at this, unless you got close and smelled it, you wouldn't be able to tell that this was sour cream and onion. Whereas with the super stack, they put this onion seasoning on here. So I don't know if that's, I guess that's genuine, but yeah, I guess it's genuine onion powder, but you actually have this green onion powder on the chip. So I think that's kind of nice, actually. Just the fact that you get that visual appeal to the chip right there. So in appearance, I'm gonna have to give the edge to the super stack for this one. I'm gonna go ahead and smell the Pringle first. Yeah, just mostly onion. You get that oniony aroma, not too overpowering, but it's there. And much more subtle, I should say, on the super stack. Barely, just the smallest hint of onion if you're getting close to the surface, but it's definitely more pronounced on the Pringle. So let's see if that translates to a difference in taste. Pringle first. That's actually better than I remembered. That's pretty good. Very oniony, but good. Texture of the chip, same as the originals. It does pack a pretty big oniony punch, so I don't find it overpowering. I could see why some people would, but that's a solid little chip right there. Let's go ahead and try the super stack, and let's see who wins in the sour cream and onion department, and then we'll crown an overall winner. Yeah. It had a much more subtle taste or smell, but it packs a pretty decent punch. Now that said, the onion flavor on that one was not quite as strong. It hits you for a moment and then it kind of dissipates very quickly. Whereas with the sour cream and onion Pringles, that onion taste kind of sits with you throughout the duration of the bite there. So, but neither one is a bad chip. The time has come to crown our winner in the battle of Pringles versus Super Stack. The winner is Pringles. Yeah, Pringles is still the superior chip. Honestly, for the price difference, you're getting the Super Stack at almost half price. It's not a bad chip. There's nothing wrong with it. I was reading some reviews online of people that were saying that the Super Stack chips were sometimes stale, but that could just be maybe a regional thing. It also depends on maybe how tight the seal was on top. On both of my cans, they were completely sealed. The chips were pretty fresh. I think the biggest thing holding them back for me, more so than the taste, again, it's just that texture, particularly with the originals. There's just something grainy, like I know I keep saying the word, but mealy about that the way it breaks down in your mouth that original Pringles don't have. And I just prefer the texture of original Pringles. They just seem a little bit thinner, a little bit crispier, whereas the other ones seem a little bit more firm and almost crackery in a way. So Pringles are gonna take the victory here in the Gladiator Coliseum. Thanks for watching. It was fun to do one of these OG snack competition videos, which was how the channel kind of started. And I hope to do more of these like these in the future soon, along with some other ideas that I have. That's all I have for this episode of Snack Gladiator. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you next time. Super Stack does not have a mascot, so they really need to get on that and design something interesting. I think they could have a man with a beard and no mustache. So that would be a very original and creative mascot there.